Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Arsenal Aura. Quick one today. I'm joined by Sophie Nicolaou, broadcaster and the host and producer of Highbury Squad, one of the biggest Arsenal shows on YouTube and podcast platforms. Sophie, I think, also contributes across outlets like TalkSport and Sky Sports and the BBC. Sophie, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the invitation and looking forward to our conversation. And
Yeah.
thank you. I love seeing other, Arsenal shows. When you reached out to me, I was really glad. I was really happy to see your name pop up, and however I can help other YouTubers in our community, and because I was like, that myself a few years ago. I loved it. I love to talk, and I love to share your work with my community as well. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Sophie. Really appreciate it. So, I know, it's been a little bit of time since the League Cup
Mm.
defeat at Wembley, but um, how how are you feeling now? What's your honest emotional read? Are you still a little bit angry, maybe disappointed, maybe you've accepted it and moved on?
Mm. Mihai, that's a really good question because you would think enough time has passed for the pain to subside a little bit. I'm still not there. And it's not because it was the Carabao Cup. It's not because it was the cup I wanted to win. It's because of what it could have done for us from a mental perspective. And it's really funny because after the Carabao Cup, I thought this is really bad that there's an international break, that these guys now have just lost the cup final and they're going off separately and not to be together as a group to feel the pain and to have maybe whether it was an FA Cup match next or a Premier League game next to fix the problem quickly, to win again, to get it out of their system. But then the more I thought about it, I thought maybe, this is a good time for the international break. Finally, maybe the timing is right for Arsenal in that look at all the injuries that we have, look at the players that were sent back from their federations to Arsenal during the international break. Um, they're professionals. They're going to be feeling the pain either way. But then you have Calafiori and Norgard now who have more pain because their countries didn't make it through the playoffs. So I feel still angry in the sense that how we performed, how we played, how that second half went, how Mikel never adjusted, how he had no answers to Pep's, strategic prowess. But with that said, um, come back. Everyone has time now, Mihai, to get themselves fit, have the rest because you've got Southampton this weekend, right? So you don't want Declan Rice and Saka and all those players playing. They get their rest and then we march on and we deliver the big one that is the most important. But I was upset and I still feel that it was an opportunity missed because to win something together at that point in the season, to create that culture, to know what it feels like and have that togetherness for the remainder of the season mentally for me, that was the draw of the Carabao Cup. And to lose it and for Manchester City to know again that they've got our number, that's an issue. So makes the game at the Etihad even bigger. And for me, I still feel blue about that game, no doubt.
Yeah, I think I think me as well, but my frustration and anger relates to the fact that Arsenal have played into not so convincingly throughout the season, right? And the
Mm.
culmination, I think, it was. I mean, you can take anything away from Pep and the matter, the way he set up his team to play, and that's really to be appreciated from a technical perspective. But Arsenal just didn't show up, and that's a little bit more worrying for me. I mean, you can lose a game three
Hmm.
two, right? You scored two goals. You did your best. You hit the post. The keeper had an excellent showing, but just show off for the fans, for yourself, for a medal, for something. I mean, don't throw it away, right? Because it
Yeah.
leads to something more than, hey, you just lost the final. If you lost 3-2, stand up and clap them. They did their best. They left their soul on the pitch, but it wasn't necessarily the case. And
Yeah.
it, I'm a little bit worried on the mental side as well, because what impact it might have. But I still think we'll be able to get something at City.
Do you know what I saw yesterday that made me feel better, Mihai? Was there was a stat, I think it's like we've lost 3 games in 37 matches or something this season, something along those lines.
Mhm.
And someone wrote, we've lost 3 games across X amount of months, competitions throughout the season, and opposing fans, rivals, and the media think Arsenal are going to lose like 4 games in the next 7 weeks, for example. So I like I like those kind of. I don't like stats. The eye test tells me, like it did in the Carabao Cup final, we shrunk, we were scared, we didn't rise to the occasion, we didn't pull our weight, we didn't do any of the things that you said. So, but when you see that stat and you see how many games we've actually lost, I'm like, okay. And you're right in the sense that we've decided to play a certain way to win the title this season, and I'm fine with that. I've been fine with it all season. I'm a points versus performance girl this season. No problemo for me, Mikel. But we took our Premier League style and form into a cup final. And that's where Mikel needs to be different and have an answer and have alternatives and have a plan B. You're so right about the way we played, the way we approached the game, all of those things. So this is why, for me, the Premier League is and will remain the most important thing this season. Because when I saw that cup final, Miha, I was thinking to myself, wow, we can't win a Carabao Cup final against Manchester City, and fans want the Champions League before we even land the Premier League after how many years? Mikel proved in that game that in a cup final, does he have what it takes to adjust? Because in the Premier League, he gets to fix things every week,
Yeah,
right?
but it's
Until
a
the end.
one-off. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
one-off. So yeah, yeah, not sure until there's a lot of fans who say, until I see him lifting a big trophy, like the Prem or the Champions League, they're still not 100% convinced. Maybe I'm on that boat, and let's not talk about boats, because the boat that I was talking about, this is not fun. It's a little bit problematic. But you mentioned a couple of things, and this leads perfectly, Sophie, into how Arsenal are trying to win games this season, and
Mm.
successfully did. Um, have you made peace with the way Arsenal are trying to win this season? And if you did, when was it? I mean, we're playing control first, low risk, very often low scoring. Um, or do you feel there is still time for it to evolve, to actually push us over the line?
I I love this question because I have discussed it on the show every single week. I made peace in December. Over the Christmas period, I was like, okay, August, September, October, November. This is 4 months now of football. This is it. This isn't going to change, especially when you're winning games and you're top of the league. Now, we've been also criticized in the past for being too gung ho, too naive. Arsenal, they don't know how to defend. We go up to the Etihad or we go to, Anfield, wherever. Arsenal of old, weak sauce mentally, can't defend, just too attacking. Now we're doing it the other way. Arsenal ruining football, so boring. We know the narratives. But for me, 100%, I bought into it and I said, if this is the way to get the monkey off our back this season, I will accept. And next season, we can talk about different style, maybe a bit more champagne Arsenal, the style that we've been used to enjoying over the years. Let's also remember that style didn't get us anywhere and won us nothing in the Premier League. So I fully back Mikel on his strategy this season, and I actually started to enjoy it. And I enjoy it because I love how it annoys people. I love how it annoys the media. I love how it annoys opposing fans. Set piece FC, all this stuff, own goal FC. Yes, bring it all on. Bring it all on if it means winning the title. So for me, I bought in a while ago and I've been riding that train and doing these shows kind of points versus performance. Because if there are Arsenal fans out there at this point, Mihai, who are expecting like a champagne style finale, no, we're not going to get that, and we have had it. We've seen it in the Champions League. I like how we've played in the Champions League. We've seen champagne from Eza. We've seen it from Noni. We've seen it from Martinelli at times. I'm okay with the blue collar, roll your sleeves up, the Declan Rice style of fighting and winning and moving on. And I'm all for it.
Um, and from what you said, Sophie, I maybe I'm reading or listening too much into it, but do you think this style is enough only for the Prem, or do you think it's enough for the two cups we are still in, which is the FA and the Champions League?
No, I think the Carabao Cup final proved that you need to have a plan B. And the plan B isn't just to take off, Zubi and bring on Norgard, or take off Martinelli and bring on Trossard. It is, what if I put Saka on the left and I put Noni on the right and Eza through the middle? Or what if I played, Calafiori as a left-sided forward? Or those are the things that Pep does. Those are the things that managers do to win finals in fine margins. How can I shock or surprise my opponent? How can I counter what they're doing? So the answer is, I don't think so, and we shouldn't, because it's totally different. And I think hopefully Mikel learned a massive lesson in that Carabao Cup final.
I
Like when
hope
he
as
was
well.
standing there and looking up at Pep and clapping for him, I was like, I hope you're thinking dark thoughts,
Real dark, yeah. And
real dark.
I mean, you need that. As you mentioned, I think he's too. He's the. I think he feels the pressure of getting a big trophy in after so many years. So I think Pep has a little bit of kind of leeway due to all the trophies that he won, so he can try new things. I always thought, do let them change positions in the attacking third, Arsenal, or play Saka a little bit more closer to Gyökeres, like a shadow striker or something like that. Play Noni on the right, Martinelli on the left. Try a little bit, some things a little bit different. But I think, and I found myself, I think it was, I don't remember the match, but it was after game match 20, when I said during my full-time review, I said, like, we have to click from an attacking perspective. And I was like, have I not came to terms with the fact that this is how we're going to play? Do you think, like, do you think we're playing more, like, if you want a comparison from tennis, more like Nadal and less as Federer?
Oh yeah, we're so Nadal.
We're grinding it, right?
We're grinding it, and not Nadal in the French Open. We're talking Nadal at Wimbledon and the Australian and the US Open. That's the Nadal that we're talking about here.
When he went full 5 sets,
Amazing.
3 sets of 7-6. Yeah. Like 5 hours, 5 hours Nadal, right?
Yeah, one of the greatest tennis matches ever, right? The Federer match as well, Wimbledon, just amazing. Those three guys, Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal. And Pep Guardiola is Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, all wrapped into one. And Mikel is, right now, he's Andy Murray. Okay? Remember Andy Murray before he won the majors?
Yeah.
It was like these three are here and Andy Murray's trying to get into the club and he just couldn't get into the club.
Exactly.
And
I remember that.
eventually,
It,
though, he grafted and he grinded and he just believed, right, Mihai? He just got. And Arsenal's, we know talent wise, we can beat anybody this season. But I'm sorry, the Carabao Cup final was not a player issue. This was the part of the season I felt for the very first time it was 100% a Mikel issue. And I haven't said that all season. And I don't know if it's because he shrinks in front of Pep. Like when you're going up against your old boss, your master, your mentor, the guy that you look up to, um, there is this element of nervousness that comes over. And the way he stood clapping at the end, I thought he's still enamored with him. He still
yeah.
sees him as this god instead of seeing him as the guy that he just wants to beat. And I know he wants to beat, and we all know that, but you have to illustrate it and believe it and show it. And those components for Arsenal are going to be the most critical. How are you going to behave in the spotlight mentally when it shines on you the brightest? Because if Arsenal players and Mikel think that the pressure's been hot before this international break, this final act, Mihai, is the one. This is it now. This is like the movie, right? You watch the beginning, the middle, and at the end, all the twists, all the turns. How is it going to finish? And this is the moment in the movie that we're in, is the
Ho-
final act.
Hopefully, no twists and turns. And
Hopefully,
we're
it will be a simple, predictable Hollywood movie. But
I
hold
mean,
on one second. If it's simple and predictable, that means Manchester City would win and not Arsenal. So we do need the twists and the
we
turns in
do
a
need
different
it.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think, the international break came at the right moment for Arteta as well to look over and over and over again the cup final and think, how are we going to play at Etihad? Because
Mm.
you have to be 100% sure that he will find a way. He will find a way to bypass if Pep is gonna play or try the same thing that it worked.
He's
Um,
shown that he can beat him. Like, go back and it's the moment of when. So the 5-1 victory. I mean, that was beautiful, right? It was fearless football against Manchester City. The way
yeah,
we played against Real Madrid. He has to go into that game, and I'm sure he's watching the Real Madrid City two legs in the Champions League as well. But he's got to go into that game totally believing differently and that we can beat them. And he's got to make sure that he has a plan C and D, because in the first game of the season, we saw Erling Haaland be the best defender on the pitch at the Emirates, and they went five. And then in the Carabao Cup, they went four up front. And this guy could do anything in a
yeah,
game.
yeah. You have to be ready.
You have to be ready.
I mean, one more thing about the cup final, and then we'll move to another cup, not final, but we are still playing for. Um, it's easy to say this, staying right here in this chair, not having pressure, not having to take decisions. But I think he could have changed at halftime. He could have brought in Saka for Kepa, because you could see he was struggling. Calafiori for Incapie and Martinelli for Trossard. You could have changed our whole left side, and it would have made the difference. Maybe not. We can't know, but
Mm.
do something. Have a little bit of courage to change something, because as you said, you have to bring the big inspiration, the big creativity, the big decisions against Pep, right? Because Pep,
Yeah.
right, has established himself as one of the world's best, and you have to come with something above that, which is obviously not always easy. So another cup, FA Cup. We are 2 days away from going back to Arsenal and playing against Southampton. And you did mention that you don't want to see Rice and Saka and all of those players against Southampton. Don't you think that giving the large or the big period in which they didn't play, Arteta will want at least 15 to 20 minutes from them at the end of the game, from Saka, from Rice, from Zubimendi. I know, but they didn't play for 2 weeks. They went to their international teams. They came back. They had an assessment, maybe a couple of days off. So the fitness levels and rhythm might not be there. So I'm worried they might play for at least 20, 15, 20, 25 minutes at the end of the Southampton game. What do you think?
I think you're 100% correct. And it's exactly the type of thing Mikel would do, where he drives us nuts. Like, you're winning against Preston 3-0 and Saka somehow is still on the pitch or something stupid like this, right? You also said something important, rhythm and fitness. If it's a fitness issue, like they need to play, they're close, and the 20 minutes is going to get them to the Bournemouth game, right, in the league, fine. I'm fine with it. You can't take any risks, though. And also, you already know what Saka can do for you. You already know what Declan can do for you. You can't risk these players, especially now we've got the Noni injury. We need Saka more than ever. I mean, Noni was, and I think has been a really good addition to the squad this season. You think about certain players, if we didn't have them, where would we be right now? Like in a season, last season with all the injuries, who was going to come in and play for Odegaard? Who was going to come in and play for Saka? Who was going to... And then you see players like Waneri fade away, Miles Lewis-Skelly fade away, but then you've got the emergence of Max Dowman. Let Max play this game. Let Max play, let Salmon play, let Brando Bailey-Joseph play, and then intermix it with Norgard. I think Kai is the one that probably should continue playing with the injuries, that he's had. Just don't take any stupid risks and manage the game so you get your fitness, but you also don't put anyone in jeopardy for the rest of the season. I love the FA Cup. I have been a huge, huge fan since I was a young girl watching it. I love the domestic cups. I always defend them and stand up for them. The first time ever as an Arsenal fan, I've said that if we don't win this weekend, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing this, people on my show don't like hearing this, but if we lose to Southampton, I won't be heartbroken. I will be bummed because I never want my team to lose. But I also just feel like this talk of a quadruple or a treble or a double, just win the Premier League. I don't care about anything else after that is a bonus for me. So that's how I feel about going into the weekend against Southampton.
But you did give that stat, or that we haven't lost in I don't know how many games. I think we haven't lost 2 games in a row for a while, and every time this season we lost a game, we kind of had the mentality and the energy and confidence to come back from that. So I do hope that the cup final was a very painful experience, and they now want to show that was just a fluke.
Yeah,
but I do think
what are those reminders? I hope they're going to be reminded, like when they've come back this week, just reminded about what happened, how it happened. I think Mikel sells pain very well. It's like Tony Robbins: sell the pain, provide the solution. And Mikel sells pain very well, and when the pain comes, he has provided a solution. However, he hasn't provided the solution at the end of the season when we need it most. So it's big for him. It's big for the players. It's not just about the players. This is about him as well.
Yeah, he only needs 2 shorts, right? He needs the one with Cherki doing kick-ups and the one with Cherki taking a selfie in front of the Arsenal team. I mean, that's all you need to kind of inflict more pain and like a response from the team. And I do think, I look at players like, as you mentioned, Rice and Gabriel and all these players, and I think they have something about them, right? When it comes to this, maybe I don't know. This is just the impression they give me.
But Benjamin White was the only Arsenal player that went in on Cherky. And I love that guy. This is why I love Ben White. I love
Yeah,
him for those things. And I wanted more of a reaction from some of the Arsenal players. So I hope it's going to be a little bit like Stay Humble, where Haaland kind of since then has been served humble pie up until the Carabao Cup final, right? Where
exactly.
it didn't work for us. So yeah, the history's there now. Look, it's very simple. Win at the Etihad and you win the Premier League. I have no doubt about it.
Yes, of course, and we should be confident because it's just a couple of games left in the Prem, and we should
Mm.
absolutely take advantage of that. And I don't want to use this because not every Prem game is a cup final because we saw how the cup final, how we present ourselves in the cup final. So
Yeah.
no, no, Miguel, this is just the
No,
Prem. Let's play like in the Prem. So,
exactly.
um, you did mention a couple of times Bukayo, and I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you because I always try to be optimistic and positive, but to be honest, has his form has dropped, by his and anyone's standards kind of a lot. And I want just to see, your thoughts on where is the problem coming from and if it can be solved by the end of the season or in the remaining games, or how do you see that? Do you see Arteta playing him through it like he did
Mm.
with other players, or rest him now he had a couple of days of rest, or maybe change his role for a few games? He did try changing his role. He did try playing him through. So what's uh, what's your thoughts on why he plays like this and
Mm.
how how we can solve it?
It's interesting, isn't it? Even though it's not a great season for Bukayo, he's had moments where it's been important. He's made important contributions.
Mhm.
I find it very difficult, like a lot of Arsenal fans, to criticize Bukayo, but he is not immune to criticism. If you're going to criticize Victor Gyökeres all season, some Arsenal fans, then you've got to criticize Bukayo Saka and others. Urian Timber was phenomenal for the beginning of the season. He's not been great since mid-January, right? But he's still, if you got a big game starting tomorrow, you're starting Urian Timber. If you have a big game starting tomorrow, you want and need a healthy Bukayo Saka. And this guy has pulled Arsenal out of the hole, right? When we had nothing to cheer about and nothing to love, Bukayo and Emil Smith Rowe came along and they gave us something to fall in love with again. And he has single handedly put this team on his shoulders. I love that we've made good moves in the transfer market now to take the burden off Bukayo. So he doesn't have to be brilliant every game. So he doesn't have to be the hero every match. So there is relief if he's not having a good game. And we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that it's so different from the season where we had four players who scored 15 goals each and had assists in double digits as well in that 23-24 season. We don't even have a player. We have Victor Gyökeres who's in double digits. Nobody else in the league and stuff. So for me, Bukayo's still important. He still has a role to play. He needs to be lean. He needs to be fit. Coming back from this injury is scary. He's probably scared. He probably doesn't feel the same. We see like players pull up. One hamstring goes, the other leg goes. It's very difficult to bounce back from this. We've seen with Kai, he came back, had a regression, had to go out again. So this particular injury is worrying not only for him and his health in his career, but also, of course, he wants to contribute in Arsenal's potential biggest season. So I would still play Bukayo, but what Mikel needs to do is have courage and bravery to substitute him, to bring him off when he's not playing well, to sub him at halftime. He needs to make these bold decisions. But in the absence of Noni, now you say to yourself, okay, put Max Dowman out there. I'm not saying play this 16-year-old and ruin him. No, we need to close this title. And Max Dowman, I don't know if you saw his goal for England the other night, was unbelievable. In the absence of Bukayo being brilliant, you have Max Dowman who you can bring in. So I'm not too worried about it, but I support Bukayo and I hope that he does come back to the type of player that he was before that surgery.
Yeah, and totally agree with you. And you can find ways of bring Dauman and Saka on the same pitch. And I get the
Yeah,
protection.
because you could play Dowman as the 10 if you want to, right?
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You can do a lot of things, but and I get a protection of Dauman, but still you need to give him some game time. 10, 15 minutes. He's not gonna. You're not gonna ruin his career by playing him. And we all have examples and like Fabregas and Yamal and whatever. So there is place if the talent is there, if the maturity is there, and it
Mm-hmm.
obviously is, right? Just do it, Mikel. Now, what's the one thing you want from Mikel from now to the end of May? Is it earlier
Right.
subs, more rotation, more freedom, or more central kind of way of play and central aggression?
So I think all of those are fantastic points, and they all come under one banner for me that I want from Mikel for the rest of the season. I did a show on it the other day. Courage versus fear. Mikel has the players. Mikel is a good coach, right? He's the one that's been challenging Liverpool and Manchester City. People can say what they want about Mikel. I don't see Chelsea or Tottenham or Manchester United or any of those other teams being the ones closest to Liverpool or Manchester City over the last 5 seasons. But we all know close isn't good enough for the Arsenal. So how do you close? Are you a closer? You have to show courage. Like we just talked about Dowman. Why didn't he bring Max Dowman into the Carabao Cup final? Why?
He didn't
Why?
have nothing to lose.
You other than lose. And you brought, Everton was the example. The kid came on and changed the game, right? So you have to show why did you do that in the Premier League against David Moyes, your old boss, and you didn't do it against your other old boss, Pep? Why? Why? I think there's this thing with Pep. He shows him too much respect, and this has got to stop, and it has to stop at the Etihad. So for me, it's courage versus fear. Be fearless. Be Mikel 23-24. And I know we didn't win the league in that season, but the fearlessness was there. And now you've got the maturity and the experience of not winning and the adversity of coming out of that not winning. So just go show your courage because now you've got a better squad than 23-24. The only reason we didn't win it then is because we had no backup for Saliba. Our injuries towards the end and those last 3 months was awful. We all know what happened. Now you've
Yeah.
got a better team. Be
and I think
courageous.
and I think we're um, start to don't have any more excuses, right? Because you didn't have the attacking substitutes, right? When you had a lot of injuries to your attacking line, then you had the defense. Prior to that, you had the defensive issues when you didn't have enough cover. Now you kind of have a complete squad. You even if you substitute players or you change players for one game or the other, you can still have quality, right? It's not a huge drop in quality if you bring Norgard for Zubimendi or for Rice, or if you bring Madueke for Saka. They're
Mm-hmm.
good players, as you mentioned. So I think courage is an excellent point. Um, and I think he needs to be braver.
Yeah, he's got to show courage in his subs. You mentioned subs, timing, aggression, courage in every single one of those. He always talks about the players having courage. Well, Mikel needs to have some courage too. And the players will feel that. For the whole season, I've felt so confident. I felt so confident because I see them and I believe they know who they are. They know the team they are in the Premier League, the Champions League. They knew in the Carabao Cup. They know in the FA Cup. They've known all of these things. They are a team that is connected. Like, people want to create issues. Yeah, there's things going on in the back. Of course, players should be pissed off that they're not starting. Of course, players should be angry. That's what you want. You want people to be competitive, but you've got to be willing to take a risk to win it all. And Mikel is risk averse, right? But he's really going to have to show some courage to change that, to go and win this thing.
Just do what you did with Dalman in the Everton game more often, and it's gonna be fine. So let's keep our fingers crossed for Mikel and more courage. Now, as I did prior to other shows with Andrew from Ars Blog, and I think even with Jordan from AFTV and so on, I have a quick fire round to finish, and then I'll let you go.
Rounds.
Yeah, no, it's just a couple of questions. For you, Sophie, one player who decides the running.
Oh, wow. What a great question. One player, because we've been such a team, right? And in January, I felt, having Havertz back, he's going to be the guy. I felt Havertz coming back and being fit would be the guy that takes us over the edge. And then I see my boy Victor Gyökeres shine for Sweden and take his country all the way to the World Cup and put them on his back. I was so happy for him. I don't think I've been so happy for an Arsenal player in a long time. But in these moments, you know Declan, what he's going to do. You know Victor, I think Mikel has to rely on the genius of a 16-year-old to be the X factor. Because we know everything else this season. We still don't know about what Max can do. Sorry, I know it's quick fire. So yeah, for me, it's playing Max Daumann in the moments to win games and close games.
So you think Max Daumann?
Sad, isn't it, to rely on a 16-year-old?
No, I think it's great. It reminds me of
Messi,
Fabregas.
He's Ronaldinho and Messi and Yamal. He's not Saka. He's not Foden. He's not Rashford. He's not Owen. He's not Rooney. He is on, to me, as a level I'm seeing from that type of age. He is Lamine Yamal level. And if you have that, you play that to win, period.
He has to.
Yeah.
One, now a little bit more tactical. Just one tactical tweak you'd make tomorrow.
Ooh, tactical tweak. Every now and again, I wouldn't mind playing a 4-4-2. I think the 4-4-2 is going to make David Hillier and I, former Arsenal midfielder, think that the 4-4-2 will make a major comeback at some point in football. I love seeing teams make mistakes when they're playing out the back. I think it's such a pandemic in football. And when you see some teams do it and do it so badly, it's like you deserve to be punished with a goal. So for me, just maybe somewhere along the lines, there's a little old school 4-4-2. Can you imagine Victor Gyökeres and Kai Havertz up front, old school style?
I'm dreaming, not necessarily, but of Victor Gyökeres and Saka up front.
Well, that's a good one too. Yeah.
I mean, Saka is very, technical, astute, and his shots are really, really well placed. So I think he would do a great combination together with Gyökeres, but I think it's only imagination and dreams at this point.
I wish we'd pass the ball through the middle more as well. I miss those beautiful kind of cut passes right through the center where it's like the parting of the seas. Those types of passes. I miss doing more through the middle. But yeah.
Yeah, we're very, very wide oriented. What's your biggest worry, Sophie? Creativity or mentality?
Mentality.
Okay, so you think we have enough creativity, but we struggle a little bit on the mentality side.
I think we can turn it on at any point if the players allow and Mikel allows. And we've seen that this season. We've seen it, and we choose when we want to pull out the creativity, mentality. 100% for me, mentality.
Yeah, because I think we saw it. We saw that it's not consistent. Um, and I think this is a question that at least you have been asked hundreds of times, and all the fans and all the podcasters and everyone else. One prediction: do we get a trophy this season? Yes or no?
Yes, we do. It's going to be torturous, and nothing is easy with this Arsenal team. Ideally, you want things done by the Burnley. Burnley would be great because it's the last home game. But yeah, I believe this is it. This is the season. And you know why I believe? Is because I cannot believe I would have to deal with anything other than that. Because this season is the season where I don't think podcasters or YouTubers like you or I could find a way to defend not winning the title. And as a fan, it would just be soul crushing.
Yeah.
I believe we do it. I believe we've got the talent. I don't think all of these injuries are serious. I think Noni and Eze are the ones to be worried about. There are players who are ready to come in who are fighting for their Arsenal career. I believe that we can do it. And Gabriel Heinze, for me, is going to be key in these moments, in these last few matches. He is on the coaching staff. He's the guy that's been there. He's the guy that's been part of things where things have closed. As a head coach, fine, it wasn't a great experiment for him when he came to the States. But in terms of what he's won as a player and being in these moments, I think he's been a big difference mentally this season. And I was surprised that didn't come off in the Carabao Cup final. And what worries me is, who does Mikel listen to in those moments? Does Gabriel Heinze have the authority to go to Mikel in that game and say, you need to bring on Max Dowman right now?
I think he has yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say, why didn't it happen then?
Yeah, because I think he has he can do that. I don't think Mikel will listen.
Yeah.
I think Mikel, he's so stubborn in his ways, and he believes, he's right, and he's seen a lot, right? So I don't think,
He's seen a lot, but he hasn't won a lot. He hasn't won anything. That's the problem, right? You can see everything, but at the end of the day, Arsenal are going to be judged. This is the most important season in Arsenal Football Club's history for me, because it's the now, it's the moment. And people will say, oh, you're just saying that because it's now. In 89, that was the most important night and day in Arsenal's history. The Invincibles, that was, this is right now fundamentally important to how we move forward with our future, our culture, winning, transfers. You fail again, that becomes a totally different plan for the next season. You win, that just adds another level. People think Arsenal Football Club are a big club now. You win the Premier League again, wait and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, Sophie, as you said, and I think you said it really well, let's hope that we don't have to become really, really creative with defending another season like the rest. So I do support your thought and your thinking that we will bring one trophy by hook or by crook. And yeah, I think it's gonna change everything. One trophy.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Sophie, I think we're at the end of our meeting. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy you are. I will link everything in the description regarding Highbury Squad if you want to tell the people where to find it. Although, I mean, your
Yeah.
show legendary that it's tough
No,
for
you
people.
mentioned Arsblog and Jordan. I'm like, now those are big shows. And I love those guys. They've been on the show too. I'm so happy that you had them on as well. Yeah, at Highbury Squad on YouTube and across all social platforms. We get some really good guests on. I love doing one-on-ones with guests. That's kind of like the style that I like. And then the odd solo shows here and there. We've got our women's show with Demian and Albert. That's great. Now, women, congratulations to them for making the semi-final of the Champions League. Just
Amazing.
playing amazing and beating Chelsea to get there as well. Just makes it even sweeter. So, yeah, check us out and come on board. And thank you again for having me. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. And let's hope that our Gunners deliver big time at the end of the season.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Sophie. Guys, if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, drop a comment. It genuinely helps. Sophie, thanks again.
Thank you.